candidates, who holds statewide offices, for governor, for attorney general, for lieutenant governor, for treasurer, for Congress. It matters in terms of who will be fighting for the people or not, who will be fighting for South Carolinians' ability to have access to affordable health care. Who holds these offices matters. It matters who's in the state house and is paying attention to the criminal justice system and saying, hey, you know what, enough of this false choice about are you soft on crime or are you tough on crime. Let's be smart on crime. Let's figure out how to get people into a place where we can prevent crime before it happens instead of just reacting to crime after the fact. Elections matter. Elections matter. Are we going to focus on an education system that represents all of the children of every family and every community? Elections matter. And there is so much at stake. Yes. So, you know, the way I've been thinking about this, I think we're at an inflection point in the history of our country. I think of this as being a moment in time similar to the moment in time when my parents met when they were active in the civil rights movement in the 1960s. This is a moment in time that is requiring us each and collectively as a country to look in a mirror and ask a question. Who are we? And I believe the answer to that question includes this. We are better than this. Yeah! We are better than this. And so, this is the moment in time that is requiring us then to fight for the best of who we are as a country. It's a moment in time to fight for issues like health care and say, you know what, if you vote to take away our health care, we're going to vote to take you out of office. And our votes matter. We're going to step up and we're going to speak out and we're going to stand up and we are going to speak. And we will be heard. And we will not be silenced. And we will not be bullied. And we will speak truths. And we will speak truth. Because it's an interesting thing right now. There are a lot of folks in our country who rightly are feeling a great level of distrust. Distrust about their government, about its institutions and its leaders. And the thing about a relationship of trust is that the relationship of trust by its nature is a reciprocal relationship. You give and you receive trust. And one of the most important ingredients in a relationship of trust is truth. But there's a funny thing about truth. Speaking truth can often make people quite uncomfortable. And for those of us who hold these offices, who walk on a stage like this, there's kind of an incentive sometimes that, you know, everyone's going to feel lovely after we speak, and we're just going to sprinkle lovely dust all over the room. Everyone will walk away feeling really good about themselves. And speaking truth doesn't always accomplish that goal. But the other thing about speaking truth is this. Yes, people may walk away from that conversation saying, you know, I didn't particularly like what I had to hear. But they'll also walk away from that conversation knowing it was an honest conversation. So, let's speak the truth up in here. And y'all are looking at me, Kamala, what truth are you thinking about? Well, if it wasn't clear before Charlottesville, let's speak the truth. Racism is real in this country. And we've got to deal with that. Sexism, anti-Semitism, real in this country. Let's speak that truth so we can deal with it. Let's speak the truth in our country. People are walking around touting about, oh, the economy is good. Well, that's okay if you own stocks. But the fact is, yeah, the unemployment numbers might be okay, but the truth is, in our country, wages have remained flat for so long and not And it's a bill that I'm calling the LIFT Act. And essentially what it will do is this. If your family is making less than $100,000 a year, you will get a tax credit of $6,000, which would be, and you can get it for $500 each month, because what we know is for the average American, they are a $500 emergency away from bankruptcy.
Yeah.
So instead of having a tax bill that is all about lifting up the top 1%, let's give that money to the working people of America. Let's speak that truth. Let's speak the truth. That tax bill pays over $50,000 a year to the top 1% of Americans. Give that money to working people. They work hard, they deserve it. Let's speak those truths. Let's speak the truth. Let's also speak the truth, among all the truths we can speak, that the vast majority of us have so much more in common than what separates us. Let's speak that truth too. Especially in this environment, where there are so many powerful voices right now that are trying to sow hate and division among us. I'm not going to buy into that. I'm not going to let them do that to me. Because I know the vast majority of us have so much more in common than what separates us. I'm going to tell you, so my husband and I have 2 children. When I first got to the United States Senate in January of last year, I came back home and she asked me to come, our then high school senior, to speak to her class. So the school, they gathered all the kids in the library, and I looked at this room full of beautiful American children. And one of them raised her hand and asked me a question. And her question was, so what are we going to do about a divided America? And that question just broke my mind. Right here they are, they should be coming out of school, going into a world they believe will welcome them and welcome all the possibilities, and that they can see the future unburdened by what has been, but instead see what can be. But the question was, what are we going to do about a divided America? And so I looked at her as I'm looking at my friends today, and this is what I said. I reject the premise. I believe we have so much more in common than what separates us, and this is why I say that. I say that based on every experience I have had in my personal and professional life. I say that based on what I know to be that middle of the night, some people call it the witching hour, some people call it 3 o'clock in the morning. That moment when you wake up in the middle of the night with that thing that's been weighing on you. You know what I'm talking about. You know, sometimes in a cold sweat. For the vast majority of Americans, when we wake up in the middle of the night thinking that thought, it is never through the lens of the party with which we're registered to vote. It is never through the lens of some demographic a pollster put us in. And for the vast majority of us, when we wake up in the middle of the night thinking that thought, it has to do with one of just a very few things. Our personal health, the health of our children, or our parents. For so many of us, can I get a job, keep a job, pay the bills by the end of the month, retire with dignity? For our students, can I pay off those student loans? The vast majority of us have so much more in common than what separates us. So let's speak that truth as we fight for the best of who we are as a country. Let's speak that truth. And let's understand, in this fight for the best of who we are, it's an interesting thing, because you know, when you point out what's not working, some people would suggest that invites a question about one's love of country. Well, I reject that notion. In fact, I say there are 2 definitions of what it means to be a patriot. One is the definition that suggests you condone the conduct of your country, whatever it does. And then there is what I believe to be the kind of patriots we are. The kind that will fight each and every day for the ideals of our country and the best of who we are. This is a fight born of love of country. Love for country. And so, over these next 18 days, let's hold our heads up high and our shoulders back, and let us be resolved and resolute. Let us understand, of course, there is so much at stake, and we are better than this, and we are all in it together. And let's remember, at some point, this moment will pass. And years from now, our children, our grandchildren, others, they're going to look in each of our eyes, and they're going to ask us, where were you at that inflection moment? And what I know, one, part of our answer is going to be we were all here together. And the other part of it is that we're going to talk not just about how we felt at this moment, we're going to talk about what we did.
Yes.
We're going to talk about these next 18 days and what we did to get people to the polls, what we did to knock on doors, what we did to walk our neighborhood and talk to everybody who would talk to us about why they matter and why this is a great country that we have got to fight for. We have got to fight for. That's what this moment is about. And then my final point would be this, just because I did talk with the chair of the party, and I know that there's early voting happening right now, and so just as a moment of absentee voting, so here's the thing that I want to just point out. You know, for so many of us, we take pride because folks lived and died for our right to vote. We take pride, particularly, you know, women didn't have the right to vote for so long, African Americans didn't have the right to vote for so long, and it's still being suppressed in South Carolina and all over the country. And so we take as a point of pride that we have almost a ceremony of going to the polls on election day, because we do that in honor of all that passed. But let me just remind everybody, you can honor the ancestors by absentee ballots. You can honor the ancestors by absentee voting. So let's just get those folks in. Let's remind everybody there is too much at stake. Right? Thank you, Greenville.
Come on.